Advertisements attempt to not only sell us products, but also ideas. Through creating structures of meaning, advertisements have the potential to present a visual argument to the public. Utilizing shared cultural values and the dominant ideology of the public in question, corporations are able to present themselves in a more ethical way towards consumers. This presentation is going to analyze how industries which commodify animals, specifically the zoo and dairy industries, attempt to present themselves as morally just to the public. Due to time constraints, this presentation will undertake a limited semiotic analysis of a few zoo and dairy advertisements, explicitly pointing at the animal's physical context within the advertisement. It should be pointed out that since signs are polysemic, other meanings than the ones about to be presented can be contrived from the following advertisements. Other factors will be brought up, such as the greater context of the advertisement campaigns, how the companies portray their specific sustainability efforts to the public via their websites, and an argument shall be made as to why such efforts are left out of advertisements. Through this comparison of zoo and dairy advertisements, this presentation will attempt to further the question of how these visual arguments attempt to present zoos as being morally just to the public. The question of morality of these two aforementioned industries is neither here nor there for the purpose of this presentation. Regardless of these industries' actual morality, the question focuses on how these industries present themselves as moral, not whether or not they are in fact morally just. To begin, let's discuss the Happy Cow campaign. Starting in 2007 and created by the California Milk Advisory Board, this campaign sought to present the California dairy industry in a better light after, at the time, taking criticism on both their treatment of animals and the pollution caused from the methane produced by the cows. This campaign involved a series of commercials, which will not be discussed here, as well as a resulting poster campaign utilizing similar imagery as the commercials. Through this campaign, the California Milk Advisory Board urged buyers to look for the Real California Milk seal on dairy products. On the Real California Milk website, the California Milk Advisory Board claims that, quote, "When you see our seal, you'll feel good knowing that the product is certified as having been made with 100% real California milk from real California dairy farmers," end quote. Also available on the California Milk website is a myriad of explanations and videos about sustainability, treatment of cows, and the farmers who produce the milk. With this context out of the way, let's begin with a limited semiotic analysis of this poster from the campaign. First and foremost, the ad itself is full of contrasting colors. The black and white coloring of the Holstein cows is contrasted by the bright green and blue colors of the immensely scenic landscape the cow sits within. This use of contrast draws in the viewer's attention. The cow in the foreground is looking directly at the viewer and is situated with a speech bubble coming out of its mouth, reading, "The official seal of the real deal." Both the anthropomorphization of the cows and the implication of the Real California Milk seal, also seen at the top of the ad, are references back to the TV commercials, which the ad is assuming that the viewer has already seen. The subtext at the bottom reads, "Great milk comes from happy cows. Happy cows come from California. Look for dairy brands with the Real California seals." This again is another callback to the TV commercials. The main purpose of this ad is the implication that the cows are happy, and thus implying that the California dairy farmers are treating these animals morally just. The main visual component that implies the happiness of the cows is the physical context of said cows. This idyllic setting of rolling green hills, sunshine, and a notably lack of any fences within the image imply that the cows are happy, and thus happy to be here. It is through this use of the cow's physical environment that the California Milk Advisory Board is able to project happiness onto the cows. This use of a beautiful rural setting has been used in other advertisement campaigns to imply, quote, "the relaxing and serene lifestyle of farming." An important factor that helps imply the moral justness of the California dairy farmers through this idyllic setting is that this is where the dominant ideology of the viewer expects to see these domesticated animals. The lack of fencing and restraints on their movement also implies the animals are content to remain where they are. This idyllic nature setting of the cows can also be seen in other continents and cultures. For example, this immensely similar looking Bregott ad from Sweden. These cows are not situated in a jungle or a desert or in a severely cramped barn, but are situated on a serene farm. It is this point of appropriate physical context and lack of fencing that links these dairy ads and advertisements for zoos. Looking towards zoo advertisements now, this ad from the ad campaign Elephant Odyssey for the San Diego Zoo, which consists of a number of posters and a TV commercial, also utilizes a scenic setting which the animal is situated within. The elephant in this ad is seen emerging from a tar pit into the scenic environment. The advertisement campaign as a whole, as well as the tagline of this poster, Elephant Odyssey, after 12,000 years they're finally back, implies that San Diego was, and now once again is, the correct home of the elephant. The setting of the advert, appearing to be the savannah, is more or less where dominant ideology assumes elephants to be located in nature. Once again, the setting is also void of any fences or constraints for the animal, projecting the freedom of the animal onto the viewer. It can be argued in relation to the previous ad that both the animal-appropriate idyllic setting and the lack of any fences play a role in assuming the animal's happiness, thus portraying the zoo as morally just for keeping this animal in captivity. There are, of course, a wide range of different advertisements for zoos, just like there is for the dairy industry, and although the physical contexts of these animals may change a bit, they have a tendency to change in only a number of ways. One common trope used in zoo advertisements is presenting an animal in a lack of context, for instance, these ads for the LA Zoo. By ignoring the physical context of the animal altogether and mainly focusing on the exoticness of the animal, the advertisement is still able to present an animal not in captivity. Another common trope in zoo advertisements is the focusing on the human-animal relationship. One example of this are these advertisements from the Bronx Zoo. In these advertisements, the animal is less prominent, with the real focus of the advertisement being on the emotive reactions of the humans from seeing the animals. Through doing this, the zoo is attempting to sell the viewer of the ad this special experience, which can be paid for by purchasing a ticket for the zoo. Another example of this human-animal relationship is this advertisement for the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo. The ad presents a moderately concerned-looking woman on stilts surrounded by hippos in their natural habitat. Like the previous ad, the emotive quality of the person in relation to the animal presents the ad's primary focus, which is also expressed through the tagline of the ad. But once again, the physical context of both of these advertisement campaigns situates both the humans and the animals in natural-looking environments, void of any cages, fences, or other human-built structures, thus implying the animal's freedom. Situating wild animals in human-built environments can portray a sense of displacement. Mollenwood claims, in relation to Britta Jasinski's photography book, Zoo, that, quote, "The photography features individual animals in settings that are disorienting because they are unnatural," end quote. By not situating animals in human-made environments, advertisers are able to circumnavigate moral questions of keeping animals in captivity. Turning our attention back to the San Diego Zoo, on the San Diego Zoo website, apart from lists of animals and attractions that may be visited at the zoo, they also have a link to the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, which expresses the zoo's mission of conservation and inspiring passion for nature. This website includes lengthy descriptions and videos about the conservation projects that the zoo is doing. The ethical messaging around conservation and the treatment of animals present on this website is comparable to the messaging on the Real California Milk website. So this raises the question, why do these advertisements leave out explicit mentions to their conservation, sustainability, and moral animal treatment efforts? Since these aforementioned activities could be deemed as morally just through the lens of the public, why do these ads instead attempt to utilize the subtext of location and the physical context to portray their morality? The use of physical context as a signifier in order to signify the corporation's treatment of animals as morally just allows these industries to present a visual argument without explicitly mentioning their practices. It is here where the words of Mollenwood seem particularly relevant. He explains, quote, "Zookeepers themselves acknowledge that the messages of serious ecological education are difficult and uncomfortable. People do not like to hear that our ecological situation is dire and that our cultural habits and practices are largely responsible. Such messages may be at odds with the pleasant, rewarding experiences that the zoos and aquariums try to provide, so that their audiences will feel the admission cost is justified and want to return," end quote. Although specifically discussing zoos, I fear as though this point works within both industries, that, in our contemporary society, the public does not want the question of ethical practices or sustainability brought up within an advertisement for an experience or product. By using subtext in advertisements, these corporations are able to imply that they are in fact morally just, without ever opening up an actual discussion as to whether or not they are.